Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Apex Racing TV once again, and to a brand new league. It's the Apex Racing League Prototype Championship. We fancied a bit more speed over here, and we're going with some of the fastest cars on the platform. It's going to be fantastic, and we join us at Silverstone for the first round of the championship. LMP1s and LMP2s sharing the track with a 1 hour race each time by. Now, my name is Jack Canan, as always. Dane Baird alongside me. Dane, LMP1s and LMP2s, a favourite of many drivers, but there's never been really a league that puts them together, so nice to get one out.
Yeah, absolutely. LMP2 is probably one of the most popular cars on the service right now since it came out a few months ago. And yeah, it's great to see it finally hit Apex Racing League. We had it in a special event for Petit Le Mans last year, but other than that, it's been left out a little bit. So yeah, good to get it into the Apex Racing League roster. And yeah, matching up against the LMP1s, it's I guess it's the standard ladder from LMP2 to LMP1. And yeah, we have got 4 classes today, only 2 car classes, but each of those classes being split up into a Pro and an AM category. And those colours are going to be popping up on the timing tower that you can see at the top of the screen. LMP1s are going to be red and orange, red being Pro, orange being AM. And then LMP2s are going to be split up into Pro and AM, where blue is Pro and green is AM. So yeah, we'll be able to see those on the side of the car and on the timing tower as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be keeping an eye on all those mini battles within each car class, so to speak. So LMP2 by far the most popular category in this championship at the moment. LMP1's, of course, 2 different cars within that one. You've got the Audi R18 and the Porsche 919. The drivers have their own choice of what they want to do. So the pros sticking in some times, and the pro-ams now across the lines. Currently Raj fastest 360 and leading the pro class, and then now Arias Mantas, a man I'm familiar with, leading the pro-am category, the P1am category, by half a second. And now the fastest of the LMP2s is a 44.7 in there in the middle, and most likely there will be 1 or 2 P1s that invalidate their laps and might end up in the middle of the LMP2 field. But it is currently the pros at the front. Of course, the LMP2s is the most popular car category in this championship, so expect plenty of those out on the circuit. P1's not as much a popularity as the LMP2 for this championship, but there's going to be a fierce battle within the LMP1 category between each class as well. So we've got 5 pros and I think 4 pro-ams within the P1 class. And then, of course, we have the pro-ams within the LMP2 class as well. So there's plenty to keep your eye on, Dane, the whole way down the field.
Absolutely, LMP2 is definitely dominating the entry list, which was to be expected. LMP1 not having as much popularity, but it's good to see the numbers that we've got here. It's actually quite high for the LMP1 community. So yeah, it's really good to see quite a few of them, and they're going to be making their way around the LMP2 drivers quite often throughout this race. So that's going to throw a little bit of an extra spanner in the works for both sets of drivers. The LMP2s, they're not going to be on their own. They're going to have to watch in their mirrors for those faster LMP1s to get by, as Silvia has just gone a little bit faster, but he's just been beaten by Brown, who's gone up second fastest overall, and now Hugo Valentin for RLL Abruzzi Esports, he's just gone up into third and instantly beaten by Alex Salmon up into second place on qualifying.
Great job by Leonard Raart at the moment to take that provisional pole on the pro category in the LMP1 class by half a second over Alex Salmon. Currently, it's Lockie Brown who's currently the fastest in the AM category in the LMP1s in there, so he is on provisional pole for that one. It's McMahon at the moment by a very small margin, currently on pole in the pro category in LMP2 on a 44.6, just in front by 0.09 of a second. So good job. And Lockie Brown has actually got himself inside the top 5. He's actually out-qualified one of the pros in there. There is Lockie Brown, and a man who's very experienced in these LMP1 cars as well. So Corey Edwards currently the fastest in the AM category in the LMP2s, and that is an incredibly close fight then, just 6,000 separating them and a 10th between the top 3.
Absolutely, yeah. LMP2 very competitive in both Pro and AM. Both sets of those drivers really close together in qualifying, so that should make for some great racing over the next hour or so as we ride on board with a Porsche 919 across the line. That is the 112. Let's see, who is the driver of the 112? That is Drozda, who has yet to set a time. He hasn't got too much time to go and set that time, but obviously LMP1's pretty rapid around Silverstone. 1:33.7 currently the fastest time, as we now switch to Michele Constantini of Apex Racing Team, and he goes up into second, but it is not quite enough to get ahead of Tom McMahon, of course, ARL GT champion, in first position for P2s at the moment.
Very close, and then another one slots into the into third place. Gravile slots into P3, and now it's the top four are covered by less than a tenth in the LMP2 Pro category. So incredibly close fight between all of those guys. There's still less than a second between our top three in LMP1, but the gaps are much more spread out compared to these, as we see now. Toyneson in the LMP2 category in the Pro class. He's making his way through now. We have a new leader in the AM category, and Tim Perry is now the leader. But look at that gap, Dane, is 1,000th of a second.
Absolutely, on a timing screen, they're showing us exactly the same time. So that's an incredibly small margin between those drivers. As we've got another Porsche LMP1, that's the 112 again. And unfortunately, it looks like they've aborted that lap. And it doesn't look like they're going to play any further part in qualifying. So someone in the LMP1 class are going to be starting quite near to the back. Here is Brown. And Brown pulls off the circuit before crossing the line, as it looks like Yamantis has just gone up into P2 in the P1 AM class. Oh.
Last sector. That's unfortunate for him. He's not going to get there. Here comes Michele Constantini in the last sector. Now, can he get a small improvement here across the line to take the... can he get a pole position in the Pro category? Yes, he can, by a tenth of a second. Constantini takes the Pro class pole in LMP2 by a tenth of a second. Toyneson slots into P3 ahead of Gravile, who's going to come now across the line, and he goes P2 by just 9,000ths of a second off of pole position, and super close fight the whole way through. And that is, I think, is going to be your grid for this one. We have now, looking at one of the cars coming across the line, Lee Balmer comes across the line for the Pro AM or the AM class in LMP2. He's 17th in that one. And Jeremy Bonsado is the one who's going to be the next one to cross the line in this one. Can he steal pole position away from the AM category? It seems to me that he can, and he goes into the middle of the Pro category, but that is a convincing pole position over the rest, and really clean lap compared to the P2 man, which is Bell. So 2/10 faster than the rest, but it shows you how close the whole field is when now we have an AM driver slotting himself right into the middle of the Pro class, and that is the end of qualifying. So now an hour race coming up, and of course with an hour, these cars won't quite last the hours. We're going to have to have some pit stop strategies in here, Dane.
Yeah, that just adds to the strategy of this race. So it's qualifying result up on the screen. So for the LMP1 Pro class, lots of RLR Abruzzi Esports drivers in there. And it's Lennart Verrat who will start on overall pole position with a 1:33.788 rapid time. That is Ismail in second, then Alex Salmon, Lewis Woods, Valentine, and Mark Hutchinson for Evo SR. That's the 6 LMP1 Pro drivers. And then LMP1 AM, Lucky Brown, Arias Yamantis, Daniel Civisabo, then Flavio Figuccio. James, not too sure who the first name of James is, but James in 5th, Matty Chambers in 6th, and then Drozda in 7th. He didn't set a time, unfortunately. The time for LMP2 grid there now, Jack.
Absolutely. Look how close this is as well. Michele Constantini is number 1 in the Pro class. Then Alexander Gavile in P2. Then it's McMahon in P3. Zeb Toyneson in 4th. Matteo Graziano in P5, then Daniel Boucher. Then it's Linek, Neumann, Cam Stark, Matteo Calistani, James Holman in P11, Carter Hutcherson, Jakob Viderka in 13th, Maximilian Bailey, Mads Gravsen, Mark Zwiedhoff, Luke Pennington, Christoph Skorupski is P18, then Ryan Littlemore, 19th, Ivo Labscher, and then Van der Berg, 21st, Bruno Aguirre in P22. So that is the biggest field we have. Then the AM category in this one, Jeremy Bonsato in P1, Jackson Bell, Tim Perry, then Rance, Corey Edwards, Michael Seal, Julian Bell, Brian Cavito, Jonathan Keane, Shane Dunn, Kevin Kittleman, P11, Jason Marachal, and then Baumeister, P13, Moore, Ryan Eppringham, then Jones, Balmer, Nichols, and just a few more, Nathan Healy, Lockhart, Culligan, and Leclerc, Marcel Leclerc, that is, not quite Charles Leclerc, but Marcel Leclerc is the last starter in this one. Now, ready to go in this one. Pace car is rolling just before that'll be Stowe corner that they're just rolling through now. So they've got to keep themselves side by side, and they have got a designated start zone, so they can't quite go when they like in this one. So it will be now the LMP1s that will get to the front of the field. I'm actually not seeing, I think Leonard Rogers had the connection issues, Dane. I'm not seeing him on the grid for this one. Looks like Alex Salmon is going to be at the head of the field here to take the start of the LMP1 Pro category. It seems that he's had a disconnection. Yeah, a third put to unacceptable level. Here we go then. As we come through the last corner, got to control the pace here, and away we go. And again, it's just that he's just shot away from the field, Alex Salmon, as the LMP1s get underway in this race. Yakubu slots into P2, then it's Lockie Brown in the AM category. He gets into P3. Now the LMP2 is getting ready to go away with Costantini in the lead of the LMP2 class, and away they go from the line, and they keep it nice and orderly as they head in towards turn 1. Graville Toynison into P3 now as they head through, fighting with McMahon, but slots in nicely there. Nice and clean start from everybody there, but Alex Salmon is the lead LMP1, and unfortunately Leonard Rars did not take the start of the race.
Yeah, that's very disappointing for him. He's gonna, if he can get back in the session, I think he might have lost connection to the session as a whole. He has, and he has joined back into the session, so we might see him take further part in the race. He can, of course, score points if he is within 2 laps of the leader, so he's got to get a bit of a move on. But Salmon looks like he used quite a bit of the hybrid boost that these cars have right at the start. He got a jump on the field. I don't think Yakubu was expecting him to go quite so early. He went right at the start of the starting zone, and yeah, he got a massive jump, 1.5 seconds ahead at the start, at the front of the field. And Costantini, he's also at the front, but that gap is about 1/10 of the size. Is actually really down at the inside, pushing Costantini a little bit wide. They're still side by side, but Michele holds it as they head into Max and Beckett's for the first time.
Poor Costantini was brave around the outside of Cop's corner there, holds on to the lead, but now this is going to be the most hotly contested of the entire championship right here, the pro category in the LMP2 and the AM class. Of course, LMP2 is so competitive. There is our leader in the AM category, is Bonsato in P number 1. He's got away cleanly from the guys behind. He's 1.4 clear of his next rival in the middle of that one, so he's clean away, doing a nice job, and now right on mixing it up in the pro category now. But here is the battle for the lead of the pro category, with Costantini at the front, Gravile in P2, and McMahon is P3. We're just looking on board now with Daniel Boucher in P5, so he's just kind of watching and waiting to see what's going to happen here through turn number 1. And all good for now. Looks like Hutchinson, what has happened to him in turn number 1? He's lost a lot of time. Actually, that was just further up the field. Of course, the LMP1s are way further in front and nearly in left field. He lost the position to Arius Humantis there in that battle. So Arius Humantis, of course, P2 in the AM category. He's now moved into the next position in front. He's trying to chase down Lucky Brown, who's just the next car in front of this. So it is a good start from everybody, and no major crashes, which is the good thing.
Yeah, it looks like everyone seemed to make it through pretty cleanly. Not too sure why James has dropped all the way back. He's about 15 seconds behind the leader of Alex Salmon at the moment, but Michele, he's got a bit of a gap on him now. He's 1.2, 1.3 seconds ahead in that LMP2 class as they head through Maggotts and Beckett's once again. Alex Salmon in the P1 class holding on to around about 1.7 second lead. So the two leaders of their respective car classes doing a pretty good job out in front. And now we look at Brown. He is leading the LMP1 AM category, currently sitting 4th overall as well, but he is under pressure from Valentin and AM rival Diamantis just behind as well.
Yeah, he really is. Diamantis is the man he needs to keep an eye on. Doesn't really need to worry about Valentin here, but it's Aries Diamantis that he needs to keep your eye on. So he's now looking. There's Diamantis looking to the inside of Valentin into Brooklands. Up the inside he goes and see if he can get this done. No, he can't quite do it. Valentin around the outside of Brooklands, hangs onto it and manages to keep that position, which is P4 in the pro category. But there's your leaders in all the classes: Alex Salmon, Lucky Brown, Michele Constantini and Jeremy Bonsato in the AM category. So there has been now a settle down in the field a little bit. It was a little bit hectic at the start, but everybody clean away. Of course, it's an hour-long race, so there's plenty that can happen. So you want to make sure that you keep it clean in the early laps, and now you just got to be running those consistent times. Now here comes the move from Valentin on Lucky Brown, and he's going to move in front. I don't think it's going to be too much of a fight put up by Lucky Brown. There seemed that he used plenty of boost out of the Chapel there in that Audi to make sure that he managed to get past into that P4. And in comes Aries Diamantis into the pit lane. That's a very early stop, and I wonder, is that a penalty or a scheduled stop? It would be interesting if it would be a scheduled stop, but really early on in the first 5 minutes, surely not.
Yeah, that is very early indeed. He has dived down into the pits, so I wonder what the reason for that is. But there is quite a bit of a difference between the way that the Porsche 919 and the Audi R18 generate their electric power and their electric storage. So the hybrid power is generated only under braking for the Audi, whereas the Porsche 919 generates a little bit less under braking, but it generates down the straights as well. So the 919 always generating, and depending on the circuit, that can give either the R18 or the Porsche 919 a bit of an advantage. And I think we're seeing the Audi have a bit of an advantage here, as that's the 277 of Littlemore. He is around, and he's going to have to let pretty much the entire AM field past before he can get back going.
Oh, that's not what you need. He's going to have to rejoin right in the middle of the AM category now, which is just in front of Kevin Kittelman. So not ideal for Ryan Littlemore's. Even more contact. That's going to be an even bigger accident down the straight into the wall. Ryan Littlemore is now going to be out of contention for this race. That was a strange incident. Came down, but big damage on the front of that LMP2, and he's going to have to head straight back into the pit lane. But let's have a look at that again, Dane, as they come down the straight. It was just 3 abreast, and a car on the, I think the car on the outside was just putting the car where it really shouldn't be, and Ryan was not expecting it, and into the wall they went. And unfortunately, he 2 instances in the space of a corner nearly, and now he's had to tow back to pit lane.
Absolutely, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Salmon is catching up to what looks like the 171 machine ahead. That is a lapped car, but Salmon, he is going at a really rapid pace. He's lost a little bit of an advantage to Yakubu in second, but I'm wondering how long will it be that is Diamantis out of the pit stop. Okay, so that's why the 171 of Diamantis is so far behind. But I want to see, when are the P1 drivers going to catch up? In qualifying, it was around about 10-11 seconds was the gap between the leading LMP1s and the leading LMP2s. So I would imagine a good few laps before that happens. And looks like on the track map on the right-hand side, he's almost, Salmon, caught up to the back of the LMP2 AM class.
Yeah, he's caught the AM field leader of the LMP2 class. Costantini is just in turn number 2 now, which is second number 1. So Alex Salmon, he's now lapping Aries Diamantis, who made a pit stop, and it seemed to me that it was a scheduled pit stop of some kind. He's just getting now through the tail end of the LMP2 AM field now as well, being followed by Yakubu, of course, who's just gained some time because of the traffic. So Yakubu is now under 0.8 of a second. He's going to get caught a little bit behind Diamantis as they came through. There's a car around that. Well, that's Lewis Woods. Lewis Woods in the gravel. in the middle of the last couple of corners, gets back going again, but now he drops into the middle of the LMP1 AM category. Just seemed like a spin under braking for Lewis Woods, and now drops out of the podium places. Let's have a look here as he came through. Just this is him going through Stowe as he heads down into the braking zone. And is it I think it was contact with an LMP2. He's lucky that he got away with damage there, but that was a little bit unlucky. The LMP2 kind of did their best in that one, but just got tagged around, a little bit unlucky.
Yeah, definitely. I was wondering if there was a bit of contact, because it's not the easiest car to spin around. It generates a lot of downforce, the LMP1 machines. So yeah, definitely an odd place for one to be spinning around. So yeah, contact would explain that. But yeah, now Michele, Costantini in first position. 2.5 seconds is the gap between himself and the driver just behind in second. He sets the new fastest lap of the race for the LMP2 field at 1:45.2. That's not too far off his pole time in qualifying, and we're just about 10 minutes into the race now, and the LMP1 field is now firmly into the back of the LMP2 field, and you can see now a little bit of carnage happening in front of Alex Salmon. Is he going to try and make it 3 wide? He does, and gets past 2 of them, but he's this is going to be tough for the drivers. They're used to it, of course, the LMP1 cars in the European Sprint Series, formerly iRacing Le Mans Series. That was super close between Yakubu and that LMP2 machine. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at this, is the battle for the lead in LMP1. This is Lucky Brown and Daniel Civizabo, who's putting mad pressure on Lucky Brown in the lead of this train here. And you've got Drozda's in there too. He's on the tail as well. So a really good battle with the top 3 in the AM category. They're all making their way through the traffic at the same time now. It's really not what you want to see now. Look at the big slipstream that's Civizabo's got as they head into Brooklands. And here comes Drozda. He has a little think about it, look up the inside, but he can't quite do it. Now look at this, they're right in the middle of the LMP2 field now. This is where it gets really tricky for these guys. Hutchinson loses a spot to Lucky Brown. He's on the outside of Luffield, and he gets caught out by that one. He's going to get caught again behind another LMP2, and now the slipstream for Daniel Civizabo comes to effect as they head into Copse Corner, and Lucky Brown has survived in that big stack up into Copse Corner. But it is really mad that was only the AM category as well. They're still yet to catch the pro category, which is going to be even trickier to get through. But that is that part of the skill of being an LMP1, is that you've got to be able to pick your way through the traffic safely. You've got to trust everyone around you. There is Liam Rance in the lead of the AM category, and that was obviously he gained a spot on Bonsados, and we didn't see where he did that, but a new leader in Rance, and he seems to have just done it on track. And we now look at this big battle in the middle of the AM category, which is just what the leaders in the LMP class have got through. And there's this is what we see now. This is Bonsados. This is how he gained the lead, I would assume. So Bonsado losing the lead.
Oh dear.
Rance, who goes through, and yeah, went into the barrier in a big error. Now he's made it back into still managed to recover the P9, but now he was just P2, but now look, he's having to, with the suspension damage and the big damage sustained. That was our leader in LMP2 AM category, now dropping down the order with that mistake in the early part of the lap, and he's going to have to limp back to pit lane because there's going to be a lot of damage on that car, as we see Costantini, I think, just blinking around a little bit as Graville goes into P2. New leader in LMP1 Pro-Am, and through goes Civizabo around the outside of Copse Corner on Lucky Brown. This is the biggest fight we're seeing right now in this category. Civizabo moves into the lead of the P1 AM category and takes it away from Lucky Brown, who's going to come straight back at it. Look at this, right in the middle of the LMP2 class as well. This is going to get really messy. Lucky Brown gets through as Civizabo gets caught in the middle. I think he got a slowdown on the way out of Chapel, which really cost him, and now they're still trying to make their way through the AM category here, but Lucky Brown got it straight back. A slowdown for Civizabo. I think he just cut the middle of Beckett's, which just gave him that slowdown He's going to have to try and do all that again, but that's just let Lucky Brown open up 1.8 seconds just like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that might have actually not been a slowdown. I think he didn't lose enough time for it to be a slowdown. That slowdown that Magnus Beckett is a good 3.5 seconds if you get it wrong. I think what's happened there is he has got stuck behind the LMP2s. He's used up quite a bit of his hybrid boost out of Cops to make that move for the lead. And then Brown said, I'll do the same out of Chapel. And yeah, he did the same, got past the LMP2s in front that were all battling. I think Civisabo just got stuck behind.
It could well have been, and he could be spot on there. And I think Civisabo's actually going to take it right back off him. You're going to he's trying his best anyway. Right now, Arias Simant is making his way back through the AM category field after his early pit stop. So he's getting back through, or trying to recover as best he can. And this one, there's your leader, Alex Salmon, in the pro category now, 3 seconds clear of Yakubu, and he gained 1.3 seconds. That's the traffic effect that we're seeing right there. Alex Salmon now, he's beginning actually now, he's actually caught up to the back of the pro category now. So now this is going to be tricky enough because this field is quite stacked up, but he's catching them in all the right spots at the moment, just getting past one of them there, but now he's got a big stack up of cars to catch up to now. So now the pro category getting caught, and the leader of the pro category, Costantini, is just entering onto the Wellington straight right now. So Alex Salmon is going to catch them very shortly as we approach the 15 minutes gone in this race.
Absolutely, and you can see LMP1 battle in the Pro and AM class, both heating up quite a lot, trying to make their way through. This is the midfield of the LMP2 AM category that they're busy making their way through at the moment in their first pass through the LMP2 field. And now you'll see, riding on board with R18, looking ahead at a Porsche 919, a little bit more boost being used by Woods, help of the slipstream as well, down the inside in towards, oh there they go, it's down the inside, brilliant move. And a couple of LMP2s up ahead, they're going 3 wide just ahead of them.
Woods recovering from getting tagged around by an LMP2 in the final sector. He gets back, he's back on track right now, gets past Drozda. Now he's going to try and get past Civisabo, which is the next car ahead. He's got 15 seconds to make up to Hutchinson, which is a lot, but there's still plenty of time left in this race. Only 15 minutes gone, and it's a 4-hour long race, so still got plenty to do, and he's in the pro category, so he should be able to make his way through. As we look at Marcel van der Berg, Arias Diamantis making his way through now. He's actually caught the next LMP1 AM car, which is Matty Chambers, and he gets past with no real problems there. He moves into P6 in category, does Arias Diamantis now. So got a big guy. He's got a minute and a half to make up to Matt James in P5 in class, but he's got a lot of work to do yet in that car, and we'll see what he's able to do. But there is Liam Rand still leading his category and opening the gap to Kivido behind him. It's close enough, about 7/10 of a second, as the car just behind him there, as one of the LMP1s is just making their way past as well in the middle of the field. Is Liam Rand leading the category. LMP1 makes its way past with no real issues, and that's the number 18 car getting past into the section. Alex Salmon continuing to open the gap out front of 3.1 seconds. It now stands at LMP2 Pro is 3.7 seconds. LMP1 AM is 0.3 of a second, and the AM category in LMP2 is 0.9 of a second. So very close in both AM categories. This one, and of course the midfield is very, very close. And here we go with Civisabo, who's trying to catch back up to Lucky Brown while also trying to make their way past some LMP2 back markers. So Civisabo, he briefly had the lead, but then got caught up. Now they've got even more traffic to get through because they've now caught the pro category in LMP2.
Absolutely, and Alex Salmon now has a bit of an opportunity to extend his advantage. He's just got past second place in P2 Pro. And yeah, he's got about 2.3 seconds over Yakubu. He's just got Michele Constantini to get past now, out in front of the LMP1 class. And you can see, coming on to the Wellington Straight, as we have a pit stop. This could very well be a scheduled one, as Drozdar is making his way down into the pit lane in the LMP1 class.
Mateus Drozdar making his pit stop. Lucky Brown making his way past some traffic. The 212 car, and Civizawa follows that in due course. Now a bit of traffic up ahead for Lucky Brown, and now look how close Civizawa got from the back there. LMP2s helping out Lucky Brown on the apex there, and he might get caught right there just behind one of the LMP2s as they head up towards Copse Corner. What does Civizawa do here? He's going to get squeezed out. He's got to be really careful here into Copse Corner. Going to try and send one around the outside of the LMP2 in front. He has to run wide out onto the curve, and again Lucky Brown has some breathing space. After that, this is what we love about endurance racing and prototype racing, when the LMP1s catch up to the traffic and it gets intense like this. As Lewis Woods now, he's the next man to try and get past Civizawa. He's in the pro category, of course, so he's going to try and make his way through, no problems there, gets straight past that man, and he's going to try and get sweep past Lucky Brown as well, but can't quite do it. And let's see if Lewis Woods can eventually get this done to move back just into P5 in class, where he'll be now firmly in front of the field. And now P1 and P2 in the pro class have now lapped every single car, so clean air for Alex Salmon now, which is exactly what he wants, but he'll be glad of that. And Yakubu's also made it through cleanly, and now he's got lots and lots of clean air to relax for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got a bit of clear air now, just focusing on his lines now, rather than trying to focus on the seemingly hundreds of moving chicanes that the LMP2 class provide for the LMP1 class drivers. He's got quite a bit of time to make up before he starts catching up to the next pack of them. The next LMP2 he'll reach is 16th position in LMP2 AM, and then even then that's only one driver, one car that he's got to make his way past. So he's got quite a bit of clean air, but you can see that LMP2 category spreading out quite a lot. You've got Constantini just exiting Chapel, and then you've got at the end of the LMP2 field just entering turns 1 and 2. So that LMP2 field really spreading out now, and that's going to cause the LMP1 drivers a bit of problems. They're not going to be able to have this much clear air for probably the rest of the race.
Yeah, it's now the case of trying to get through as best you can, as we see one of the other LMP1s is lunging up the inside of Civizawa, couldn't quite get it through, and now Lucky Brown still hangs on to the lead of this race, as we took over 20 minutes gone, 21 and a half minutes gone in this hour-long race, and we still have this battle for the lead in the AM category in LMP1. And it's been held by Lucky Brown for a good chunk of the race, but now Savo looking up the inside, can't quite get it done. Number 18, LMP1, which is a lap down, gets through. Things on to that and tries to get past Lucky Brown at the same time, but can he do it? No. Civizawa caught behind the 251 LMP2 and has to back off for now, as Lucky Brown gets now 2 cars between him and his rival, and it opens out to a second and a half. In the space now opens out to 2 seconds. So just this is what happens when you catch traffic in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now he's clear of it, but now look at the gap that Lucky Brown had. They were nose to tail heading into that sector, and all of a sudden it's now opened out to over a second in the space of a few corners. But now I'm sure that gap's going to close down again. Now Lucky Brown's caught traffic in the wrong place in the middle of Baggett's and Beckett's.
Absolutely, definitely a frustrating place to catch it, and you can see Civizawa has actually caught up quite a bit now, and you can see big use of the boost button there, and there goes Civizawa up into... Is that Civizawa? No, it's not.
No, it is the number 18, which is I think a lap down. in this one. So there it is. Yeah, at Leonard Rart. So that was our pole sitter who's recovering in this one. So I was wondering why the car was familiar. That was our pole sitter. He's 2 laps down. Of course, starting from the pit lane, he disconnected before the race start, and he's made his way back. He's 6th in class, of course, in the pro class, but he is running around in this one. So we were wondering who that was. That was our pole sitter, but who is now, unfortunately, down the order after starting from the pit lane. This is a battle in the middle of the AM category, battle for 10th in class, which is William Bell in the middle of the battle here, and he is now getting on the back of Baumeister in the 382, just in front. Let's see if you can do just that. Ballmer's watching from behind as well. He's on the back as we have a stopper in the AM category. I think Dunn has come in for a stop in the AM category. So pit stop phase is beginning to now start because we've got 30 minutes in this race. There is Jonathan Keane. Arias Yamantis is in this one. This is number 44. Ooh. And just loses it. And that's an unusual place to do it, but obviously just got unloaded and around it went. It was a very lazy spin in that one, but he gets back going again, and he has to recover, but he's managed to do so. But an unusual, must have just got put off by Arias Mantis there.
There's actually a big old bump on the inside of that curb if you take a little bit too much, so I think he might have just got a bit too tight to the inside, and that's just sent the car around. But a very slow spin, as you said, and yeah, unfortunately, around he went. As we've got a little bit of a battle going on here as well. It's the battle for 11th in the LMP2 Pro class.
Indeed, that was Carter Hutchinson losing the position to Vidurk, and a big slide for Stark in P11. He managed to keep it in check, but that would have cost him some time in the 225 car. But he keeps it stable. There is our leader in the AM category, Liam Rance, and there is the AM category alone on the timing tower. So Liam Rance, Kivvied up, and then Seal, Kittleman, Moore, Perry, Collignaughton, Bell, Baumeister, Bell, Balmer, Healy, Nichols, Lushart, Dunn, Effringham, Keane, who we saw spinning just there, and Marikal, Edwards, and we have Jeremy Bonsato, who was our pole sitter, is in the pit lane, 7 laps down. So he's obviously that was obviously the car we saw in the barrier hard. He's obviously got a lot of repairs to do on that car. LMP2 Pro, here we go. Costantini with a 5.5 second gap in the lead of the Pro category. He's actually now beginning to lap his compatriots in the AM category in the LMP2, so that's what he's beginning to do. Graville is P2. There's Tom McMahon, Toynison, Graziano, Neumann, Leineck, Kalistani, Boucher, and Bailey. Then Stark, Vidurka, Hutchinson, Sweethofberg, Laubscher, Holman, Aguirre, Pennington, Bramson, Skorupski, and our one retirement is Ryan Littlemore, who we saw in a big way. But this is the battle that just doesn't end, does it? Lucky Brown and Daniel Sivizaba at the front of the P1 AM class. Faguccio, Drozda, James, Yamantis, and Chambers. Just 7 cars in the AM category, but this is a raging battle, and they've now got a bit of clean air to start fighting it out. They're just catching up to a little bit more of the AM category, but there's plenty more space. The front of the Pro category and leading overall is Alex Salmon, then Yakubu, Valentine, Hutchinson, Woods, and Rart, who is 2 laps down but still circulating. So that's a very spread out field of cars in the Pro category. But just coming up to 30 minutes to go, and now we're getting into pit stop territory.
Absolutely, we'll start to see some of the more conservative stoppers in the race. Some drivers will be leaving it as late as possible. Others will want to make use of their pit stop in the middle of the pit window. So yeah, definitely heading into pit stop territories. We've already had a few drivers head down into the pits, but the majority of them have of course stayed out. So we've just got to wait and see when those drivers are going to make their way through, as the battle for the LMP1 AM lead as fierce as ever.
It certainly is, yeah. And while we're in the halfway stage of this race, we're keeping our eye on Lucky Brown and Sivizabo, of course. The SDK overlay is being put to work tonight as round goes Matt James. That's Matt James who has gone around in that middle part of the corner. That's the second car we've seen happen there. That was surely a bit of contact, as we see now as him going through Stowe, then into the braking zone here. He's got no cars around him. Oh, that's unusual. That's very unusual. That just looked like a rear lock right there, and complete rear lockup for there. And that car was not having any of that. Around he went. And oh, now Lockie Brown gets caught out with some traffic, and round the next part of the corner, surely Zivy's Album with a good opportunity, but boost being used by Lockie Brown. Look at that, ERS deployed, and down the straight. Zalman does not try it, and Lockie Brown hangs on for now. But that was an unusual one there for Matt James. Just the car just completely snapping on him on the brakes.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a very weird one. Like I said earlier, the downforce generated by these cars doesn't normally let that happen. But obviously the lockup was severe enough that the car just swapped ends like that. But yeah, Lockie Brown, he's got to be careful now. He's not going to have too much hybrid boost available to him after that usage down the Wellington straight, as our leader, our overall leader and our P1 Pro leader down into the pits. And you can see him shifting sporadically. That's a little bit of an LMP1 trick to bypass the speed limiter a little bit, gain a few extra tenths of a second at most in the pit lane, but it does work, and you can see him doing that as he heads down the pit lane. And Yakubu, he leads for the first time.
Yeah, Ismail Yakubu now your new leader in the pro category now. He's decided to go a bit longer. Figuccio in the AM category has decided to pit as well from the AM category. So that is the state of affairs in there. Alex Salmon, that was just a splash and dash. Obviously for Alex Salmon, he's already out of the pit lane, but just taking fuel. No need for tyres in these LMP1s, and he rejoins just in front of some traffic. Now that could help him out a lot, that he's just come out in front of that traffic. He's actually got clean air, Dane, which is crucial for him when he's obviously trying to undercut Yakubu even more. But he's got some nice clean air, and if it was even a tenth of a second longer, he would have been caught behind some traffic, or a little bit longer, or a little bit more conservative on the pit entry. He could have been behind a lot of traffic there. So he's helped himself out and come out in some clean air. 38 seconds behind Lewis Woods, with some decent times to make up now. Ismail Yakubu, he's surely going to respond immediately to Alex Salmon, and does he do so? No, he's going to stay out for a little bit longer. So he's obviously comfortable. He's going to run that tank dry and try and get as far as he possibly can here. As I was saying before we were interrupted with the battle, the SDK overlay being put to work this evening. It's working hard with the pro category, the AM category, the pro and the AMs. Track map on the right, splits being worked out. If you would like to check this out, of course, for your own league usage, you can check out www.sdkgaming.co.uk and check out everything that is on offer for you there. You can see it's really making its money's worth tonight. It's got a lot going on screen and plenty of info to keep everybody updated with everything. Now, this is Brian Cavido on the back of the leader. That was Liam Rance in front. Is new leader in the AM category, as the Rance got a little bit out of shape, and that is Brian Cavido into the lead of the AM category.
Absolutely. Going back to Yakubu not making a pit stop, he got held up and he had to pass quite a lot of LMP2 traffic on that lap, whereas Salmon, of course, got out in clear air. So I think he would have realised that, and I think that's why he hasn't opted to pit. As I've just seen on the timing tower, Sivisabo has just got past Brown for the lead in LMP1 AM.
Certainly has, so let's see if he can hold on to it this time. I think the traffic played its part there, but Sivi Zabel is the new leader in the AM category in the LMP1. Let's see if we can see how he did it. I unfortunately can't see it, so let's see what talk us through it, Dane.
Yeah, I think it's just down the Wellington straight, and he has made that move stick. He actually got a little bit held up on the exit of Brooklands with some LMP2 traffic. I think that might have helped him out a bit more than it hindered him, as Yakubu into the pits. Valentin gets past. Will Hutchinson get past? Woods is also into the pits. Where is Alex Salmon? That is the big question. I think he's coming down towards Club. He is. So let's see, Yakubu. He is now moving once again, it seems. So it's going to be tight between them. Yakubu into the pit exit.
Oh, this is going to be very, very close. Here comes Alex Salmon round the first corner. There is Ismail Yakubu with the overspeed. Now, does Alex Salmon get in front? No. So Ismail Yakubu has done the job and come out in front. But now Salmon's going to be pushing hard. He's obviously now got a little bit warmer tyres compared to Ismail Yakubu. But Yakubu has done an excellent job, extended the stint, and kept in front of Alex Salmon, and now takes the net race lead in this one as Lucky Brown. He is just pitted and in the AM category, but there is now a little bit of lap traffic for Ismail Yakubu, and he has to now negotiate that. And Alex Salmon, now we've got a battle for the pro class lead. They both pitted, and they should be able to both go to the end. Here's the breakdown of all the different cars. Of course, 2 Audis at the front, and the Porsches dominating the AM category. Interesting. So all the pros have gone for the Audi, and the AMs have gone for the Porsche. Apart from Figuccio, who is opted for an Audi, of course. LMP2 is all in the same chassis with the Lara. There's no difference there. And there is Hugo Valentin into the pit lane from the lead of the pro class. And Mateus Drozda now has got Figuccio for company down the straight, and he is now chasing him down in the AM category of the P1 class, as now we have a new leader. Matt Hutchinson takes over the lead of the pro category in the LMP1. But new leaders in both classes now after the pit stop. Sibi Zabel leads, and of course now net race lead is Ismail Yakubu. No pit stops for the LMP2 pros yet though.
No, absolutely, and yeah, you can see now Yakubu right on the back of him is Salmon, so those two are going to be battling until the end of the race. I would imagine 25 minutes left, of course. LMP2 is no doubt going to play a large role in that battle. Flash of the headlights for Salmon, trying to maybe put Yakubu off a little bit.
Yeah, the classic strategy, flashing the lights to try and put them off. He's used a lot of boost on the exit there to try and get up to the back of Yakubu down towards Copse Corner. Is this going to be a move on for him here? He's going to have to go to the outside line of Copse Corner, and Yakubu is very wise to that and shows him the outside. Nothing he could do about that, but well defended by Ismail Yakubu as they head into Magdeburg. They're going to fight out now for the rest of this race in the traffic. But Alex Salmon has led every single lap, and now in the pit stops get beaten out by Ismail Yakubu, and a good exit now for Alex Salmon down towards Copse Corner, Stowe Corner. He's got the outside line for Stowe. He's going to be brave it out around the outside here. Yes, he is. He's going to brave it out around the outside and try and take the lead of the net race lead of the pro class, and he gets it done on Ismail Yakubu. And great move. He was brave in that one. Now you can see they try and break away as Daniel Sibizabo hits from the AM class lead, and we're going to be keeping an eye to see where Lockie Brown comes out in relation to him. But great move from Alex Salmon, brave around the outside.
Absolutely flashing the headlights. LMP2 getting out of the way just about through turns 1 and 2. As we look a little bit further back, this is Brown. Now, of course, Brown, I believe, already pitted. Sibisabo is now in the pit, so this is going to be very similar situation between Salmon and Yakubu. Let's see where Brown is going to be when Sibisabo eventually comes out of the pits. So let's see. Still stationary, and now gets going just about ahead of the LMP2 there, but Brown easily into the lead of the race, and that's quite some margin as well.
And the LMP2s are in now. Michele Costantini from the lead. Graville stays out for now. But it should be an easy one for Costantini, because he's got nearly a 6-second lead. Oh, contact in the back between one of the LMP2s and Alex Salmon. He gets away with it. One of the LMP2s sent off there, and that was Kevin Kittelman in the AM category, and he's thankfully not gone all the way around. Now been a victim of one of the LMP1s just trying to make their way through, but that's the danger of it. But did well to keep going there. So Lucky Brown emerges in the AM class, in the P1 AM class lead after all that 1.8 seconds clear of Daniel Civi Zavo. And of course now this is the net race battle between Alex Salmon and Ishmael Yakubu. Hutchinson has not yet in his stint, and the net race lead for Michele Constantini obviously coming. Brian Cavito, of course, your leader in the AM category in the P2s. But Alex Salmon now, he's back in the lead, but Ishmael Yakubu has done a good job in that strategy, because he was a lot further back, but he's dragged himself in now, and he's now, of course, keeping himself in it with the slipstream, which is very powerful in these.
Yeah, definitely, and this battle is far from over. Now that Salmon has got past, you would expect, given the lead that he managed to hold throughout the first half of the race, he would be able to keep this lead, but definitely far from over. Still 20 minutes left to go, and with the masses of LMP2 traffic that they still have to fight their way through, you can definitely never count out Yakubu for that P1 Pro win. Hutchinson into the pits. He will then drop back down to, you would imagine, just in front of or just behind Valentin. So that's going to be a close one, but lots of LMP2s in the pit lane at the moment.
Yeah, we're going to keep an eye out to see where Graville comes out relative to Costantini. So he should be relatively safe here. Costantini should be able to get this quite easily here down the main straight. Here he comes, and he's now in the net race lead once again. And he's just actually behind, funnily enough, I think the race lead battle actually between Salmon and Yakubu. So he's just come out, and that is Kevin Kittleman. He's just making his way past right there. So there is Alex Salmon. Yakubu a little bit further back now, because they're now getting back into traffic. They're getting back into the AM category, and this is where time is won and lost in these races. But Leinek in the pro category has not yet pitted, so he will lose that position to Michele Costantini. And Brian Cavito, he's not pitted yet in the AM category, but he's miles in front of the next AM car. As we look back further, this is Keeley. This is a battle further down, and of course now the battle for fourth in class in the P2 Pros. This is Toyson and Graziano in the middle of the pack, of course. Just 2 seconds ago was Tom McMahon, but no sign of any movement between those. Drozda has just come out. You see now one of the LMP1s is going to make their way past in this battle. I think that's actually Rart, who's now making his way back to the field. He's actually he's doing himself a justice here, getting himself through the field so quickly. He's still 2 laps down on the leaders, but he's making his way through the entire field. But you can see some more hitters. This is the leader of the AM category in Brian Cavito. Enters into the pit lane. Look at the gap he's got for Dane. He's got 43 seconds to Liam Rance. This is a demolishing being put on by the South African at the moment.
Yeah, he's just going to hop into his pit stall, and we'll have to see how large that gap is once he comes out. I believe second place. Oh, there's a car off in the background. Not too sure who exactly that was. Losing quite a bit of time, I would imagine. Side by side through the loop, back down the Wenton straight to the inside. Goes a 251. Nice defensive line there. I think Graziano's going to try and hold it down the inside initially, but there's a bit of contact. And he gets shunted to the outside. Now very loose under, or when he puts the power down. Flash of the headlights as well. He wasn't happy with that. Bit of a shunt to the side from the driver in front that he's trying to make a move on, and you can see weaving around in the mirrors. He's not very happy with that at all.
New leader in the AM category, Liam Rance retakes it. So obviously Kavito had not yet pitted, and Liam Rance retakes it. So by a very, very fine margin. But Liam Rance retakes the lead of the AM category ahead of Brian Kavito, and now in the middle of the. And there's one of the LMP1s coming through there, and some LMP2 pros coming through. The 291 of Graville, who had just boxed, of course. There, he's in the middle of that one as well. But there is Brian Cavito losing the lead of the AM category in the P2s to Liam Rance, who retakes the lead and will hopefully try and hang on to it. 2-3-3 now. Graville, he's the pro category. He's going to move past in this one. That's we will now see the pro category as well, because there are they're quite close together. But we've just been informed reliably Graville received a 1 minute stop and go for his own doings. So unfortunately for him, Lockie Brown from the lead of the AM category in P1, he's lost it in turn 1, and Sivi Zabo takes it. And unusual mistake from Lockie Brown, and let's see if we can see what happened to the Australian, Dane.
Oh, he's touched the grass, and I said it was difficult to spin these cars. That's one very easy way to do it. Get a wheel on the grass under braking. That is a very good way to spin around the Porsche 919. He has now got a 2.3 second gap to his rival in front. So really unforced error for him, and that's going to cost him quite dearly, as this battle in the LMP2 AM category is heating up, with just over half a second gap between the leader, Rance, and Kavito just behind, who we are riding on board with as he makes his way through now into the third sector.
Get a sense of the speed of these cars as well through Magnussen, Beckett and Chapel. Get on the power now. 120 easily reached as they come out of there, but Liam Rance doing an excellent job, but he can't relax too much, because Brian Cavito is very much still in there, as we have 15 minutes left, just under 15 minutes left in this race. Where has the time gone in this race? And everyone's still close together after 45 minutes of racing. And getting into the latter phases of the race. This is the current state of affairs on track at the moment. 70 degrees Fahrenheit, air temperature 72 on track, and it is now, of course, it's quite windy out there at the moment. Silverstone, 10 mile/hour winds, and which is not actually unusual, because of course the Silverstone an old air base, so it would get very windy on a flat piece of land like this. So 10 miles per hour. Hopefully, well, if that was heading in the rear of the car, for example, down this part of the straight, it would make braking distance very, very long in the real world. As iRacing Mantis, he takes another pit stop. Of course, he pitted really, really early in this race in the first 5 minutes. He's now had to box again, but he's come back into the fight in P4. He's now in position as now we have a battle on track between Mark Hutchinson and Lewis Woods for 4th in class in LMP1 Pro, as they get past the 382 car in LMP2. A little bit wide for Hutchinson there, but he's recovered well. Actually, Lewis Woods has recovered well after getting spun around in the early part of the race. So he's recovered back now into the fight for 4th in class. He's got a little ways to go yet, but a man who's kind of on his own really is Valentine. He's got 15 seconds to the car in front and nearly 8 seconds back to these guys behind, so he's running his own race really. As well as Michele Costantini, he was really on his own, 10 seconds to the car behind Tom McMahon, but there's a real scrap going on here, because this is Michael Seal in 3rd place in AM category. There's a battle for 17th happening in the middle between them, and Kevin Kittelman is trying to catch up to Michael Seal at the same time.
Yep, and there goes Salmon flashing the headlights. Very tight line taken there, as almost pushed wide by an LMP2 as well. So he's making his way through, but Seal now has got a bit of company, it seems. And yeah, that is Ivo Laubscher for Positively Racing just behind him. A little bit sketchy. Salmon making his way through there, but as you do in the LMP1 versus LMP2 battle. Oh, big slide! That was a huge slide. Oh, for Seal, I think it was.
Very, very lucky to get away with that. Let's have a look at that again. Seal, he's going to need some new underwear after that one. Here he comes into the braking zone, gets it through, and oh my word, keeps it in a straight line, loses the position, but managed to stop it from spinning. And well held, sir, is all I'll say. Loki Brown into the pit lane for a second time in the P1 category. That is unfortunate for Loki Brown, who was fighting so hard for the lead. That's going to give Sivi Zabo a very, very large lead in the P1 AM category as he heads through pit lane for losing position to Figuccio. Loki Brown, it really hasn't been his day, huh? There was the initial instantly spun in that corner. I think that was actually a drive-through for Lucky Brown, so it must have been off tracks. He just went straight to the pit lane and rejoins in P3, but he's now about 15 seconds behind Figuccio, so a drive-through it seems for Lucky Brown, and drops him out of contention for this one. Meanwhile, this battle continues to rage on between Mark Hutchinson and Lewis Woods for that fourth spot in this race today. I'm trying to look for a cutback here for Lewis Woods, but can't quite do it. Trying to get on the boost early, but he can't quite get up to the back of him as they head over the line to begin another lap as we take over with 10 minutes to go in this race, and big scraps happening throughout the field as there goes Bell past Balmer as he makes a mistake into Kopp's corner as we continue to file through in race. But Alex Salmon has really dealt with that traffic very nicely, because the gap he's now got over Ishmael Yakubu is much, much larger than when they came out of the pit lane, and he's done very, very well to get through that cleanly as all of these guys. Another LMP1 peeled into the pit lane in the background. That is Matt James, I think, who's peeled in from P6 in the P1 AM category. And there is Liam Rance building the gap now over Cavito in this one. Here is the state of affairs anyway in the AM category. It's pretty clear cut who the front runners are. Liam Rance at the front, Ryan Cavito in P2, and then a further 21 seconds back is Michael Seal in third, Kevin Kittelman, then it's Perry, Colligan, Moore, Bell, Dunn and Baumeister, and then it's Brigham, Bell, Balmer, Nichols, Lachère, Healy, Marical, Keane and Edwards, and then Jones, Bonsallo and Leclerc, who did not take the start. The pro category then, it belongs at the moment to Michele Costantini for Apex Racing Team at the front by 11.2 seconds over Tom McMahon, and then it's Toynison, Leineck, Graziano, Neumann, Calistani, Bucher, Wojderka and Hutcherson, and then Sweethoff, Bailey, Graville with the 1 minute stop and go, Berg, Skorupski, then Holman, Laufscher, Pennington, Gravson and Aguirre, with Stark in the pit lane 6 laps down, and Littlemore, who we saw in a big smash earlier on. The P1 AM category, he had to fight hard for it, but it's Daniel Sivi Zabo at the front, 13.5 seconds in front of Figuccio. Loki Brown just had a drive through penalties, he's down to P3. Then it's Drozda, Arias Yamantis, and Chambers and James in P6 and 7. And then in the pro category, overall leader Alex Salmon by 4.2 seconds now over Ishmael Yakubu, and then it's Valentine and then Hutchinson now in front of Lewis Woods, and then our pole sitter, who we didn't quite see to get in that fight, unfortunately, is Lennart Rahr, who is now at the back of the field. He's in P6 in class and still running around, which is the important thing. So, not long left in this race now. 52 minutes, just taking over to 53 minutes. Elapsed to 7 minutes to go. And Alex Salmon, I mean, I think it's been a textbook display of getting through the traffic, because I think that's what's helped him out quite a lot. Brave moves on that pulled on Yakuba, but it seemed that he's been very robust with the traffic, which has really, really helped him to gain that position, or be in that position and build that gap. And it's so important that you're confident getting through the traffic.
Definitely one of the big factors in multi-class racing of any sort, but even more so when you've got cars going as fast around the circuit as these are. Makes everything just a little bit more difficult. But yeah, Hutchinson under pressure from Woods. This is for 4th and 5th. Overall, points are decided by car class, I believe. So drivers in the AM class that are punching above their weight are going to get a little bit of an extra boost of points, rather than drivers that are in their class position. So if you can see some of the LMP2 AM drivers that are splitting the LMP2 pros, they'll be getting a little bit of an extra boost in points over some of their competitors. As you can see, Hutchinson flashing ahead at the LMP2 traffic as they head through Magnussen-Berger. It's always a bit of a risky place to try and make a move. You can see him just hanging back and then using that boost and getting past after Chapel, then instantly swerving across to the left-hand side of the circuit to get in the slipstream of the next LMP2 machine, and he made that look easy.
Absolutely, he did, and makes short work of the traffic. And I'm sure some of these guys, of course, would be potentially using some setups from the Apex Racing Academy, which we would like to give a quick mention on stream as well, which is of course the setup masters at Apex Racing team have put together. And if you would like to check out that and the different subscription packs that are available for you, you can check out apexracingac.com. You can even go as far as to get one-to-one coaching from the guys, especially if you would like to really improve your driving. You can learn from the very best, of course. For example, Kevin Ellis Jr., who is at the front of the Porsche Esports Super Cup at the moment for the RLL team and as well. So make sure to check that out, and if you'd like to improve your driving, that is the place to be at the moment with 5 minutes left on the clock. There's Michele Constantini, speaking of which, for Apex Racing team at the front of the field, 11 seconds clear of Tom McMahon, who's P2 at the moment, but it's been a dominant display from him. He's led basically every lap in this race, in his class, and has dealt very well with everything that has been thrown at him. He's done very, very well indeed. So not a hell of a lot of laps left. Meanwhile, this battle between Hutchinson, there goes Lewis Woods, sending it around the outside of Stowe Corner. That is a sensational overtake from Lewis Woods. That was bravery. I mean, it looked like Hutchinson was standing still on the apex, but that was brilliant. What an overtake.
Absolutely, and just to go back to the academy, Costantini is a coach in the Apex Racing Academy. He currently does the Ford GTE car, but he does do quite a lot of running in the LMP2. As you can tell, 11 seconds clear at the top of the LMP2 standings at the moment, with 3 minutes left on the clock. But yeah, that was an awesome move forwards around the outside of Stowe Corner. You can actually run quite a lot more speed around the outside than the car on the inside if you position your car correctly. So it is actually a very good overtaking opportunity around the outside of Stowe, despite it being seemingly quite a difficult one. But yeah, he made that work really, really well and cleared Hutchinson before Club Corner, and which is crucial. Otherwise, Hutchinson could just as easily send it back up the inside into that one. So yeah, Woods did an absolutely brilliant job there, and he got a little bit of a gap brewing there as well, surrounded or separated, now those two, by one of the LMP1 AM cars.
Yeah, we now go back to the AM class in the P2s. This is the battle for P3 in class. Michael Seal at the front of this one in the 361. We look at Tim Perry in the 383, with Kevin Kittelman just a little ways further back in that car. In the 311 just behind. So this is the battle for a podium in class, and looks like Tim Perry is the man who's putting the pressure on at the moment. So he's the one who's going to be trying to get a podium out of this one. Going to get in the slipstream here. Down the straight. Got to watch out for Kevin Kittelman as well, getting a slipstream as well. But it is Tim Perry putting the pressure on Michael Seal as they head down the hill into the braking zone for Club. And bringing a great hour of racing to a close in just a few moments' time. I would think the next time they come across the line in the Pro class would mean the last lap in the Pro class, as we see Alex Salmon is just in Maggots and Beckett's with just over a minute left on the clock, so it should be a final lap or white flag next time by for the leader. So I mean, there. So here is Alex Salmon. He's caught up to some more traffic. He's actually nearly caught up to the back of Lucky Brown, which is the 124, which is just in front of him right now. So that's how far Lucky Brown has dropped down, but they've managed to lap up to the back of third place in the P1 AM category. As across the line, a white flag is in the air here in Silverstone for Alex Salmon. So let's see if he can bring it to the end. Yakuba took half a second out of him on that lap, but it's a little bit too little too late for a man behind, as now Lucky Brown is going to get out of the way for the overall leader, and that would mean he will now be on his final lap as well. They head through Lucky Brown, that will be really kicking himself with that drive-through penalty. And he's unfortunately now going to have to follow the overall leader to the end. He was leading his own class, but now Daniel Civizabo takes over that honour in this one, as we keep our eyes on now Skorupski heading into the pit lane with just a lap left. So I wonder, is he now got a drive-through penalty for this one? As we see now, this is the LMP2 AM class. These guys are going to get the white flag in just a moment's time now, as Michael Seal is going to try and hang on for dear life for a podium here in the AM category. Through over the lines will be white flag in the air for those. Michael Seal in front of Tim Perry by just a couple of tenths of a second as they head through turn number 1, through turn 2 and into turn number 3 and 4. Michael Seal just doing enough to hang on to this one, but Alex Salmon, he's had to fight hard for that one. Pulled off a brilliant overtake on Ishmael Yakubu behind into the last corner, and the first ever race in the ARL Prototypes Championship goes to Alex Salmon, who wins in Silverstone by 2.5 seconds over Ishmael Yakubu, who takes that second spot in class. Daniel Civizabo is going to be the next man that we need to keep our eye on, because he is leading, of course, the P1 AM category. Lucky Brown, of course, has crossed the line for third in that class. It's going to be Valentine in P3 and Lewis Woods in P4 and Hutchinson P5 in Pro category. Here is Liam Rance, who is on course to take the AM category win in the P2s. Tom McMahon taking the P2 in the P2 Pro class. Liam Rance, though, he's done a great job today, and he is going to take the AM class win in the P2s, just behind Ari Simantas, of course, in the P1 AM category. Here comes Liam Rance, and across the line he wins the AM category in P2. And we wait, of course, now for Daniel Civizabo and for Michele Costantini, who is, of course, going to take the win in the P2 Pro category. But now Daniel Civizabo, what a fight he had to put up. He wins the P1 AM category. And we just wait now for the Italian of Michele Costantini, who is just coming through Maggots and Beckett's right now, getting past the 3-2-1. He's nearly put a lap on everybody, actually. He was the only LMP2 who wasn't actually put another lap down. That's why he's still circulating. And he's basically dominated the P2 Pro class today. So here he comes for Apex Racing Team, Michele Costantini, and he comes through the last corner and wins the P2 class here in Silverstone and brings an end to the first round of the championship. But your winners, Alex Salmon, Michele Costantini, Daniel Civizabo, and Liam Rantz in each category. And an hour gone, Dane, and action all the way through.
Absolutely, could not have asked for a better start to the season. I cannot wait for the rest of the season to come. Pretty much battles for the front two of every single class except for Michele Costantini, of course, in LMP2 Pro, who just sort of walked away with things. Fantastic job by the driver of the number 266 there. And race results up on the screen then. Confirmation, Alex Salmon took the win in LMP1 Pro by 2.5 seconds over Ismail Yakubu. Then Valentin in third, and Lewis Woods making it a 2-3-4 for RLR Abruzzi Esports. Mark Hutchison in fifth for Evo SR, and then another RLR car in Lennart Rath. He, of course, got pole position, but lost connection just before the race started, and he did a fantastic job to make his way back into the field and catch up quite a fair bit. He only finished 2 laps down, which means he will still score points, but you can imagine he'll be fighting right at the front for the rest of the season. LMP1, and then Daniel Civizabo, of course, taking the win. Flavio Verguccio in second, and then Lockie Brown, so unfortunate for him, just surpassing the 16 incident point limit, causing him to get a drive-through penalty. Drosta finished in fourth, and then Yomantis, Matty Chambers, and James in seventh. Those last two, Matty Chambers and James, will not score points because they're 3 laps down, unfortunately for them in LMP1.
Now, LMP2 Pro, Michele Costantini, a lap ahead of the rest of the field, which just shows you the domination displayed by the Apex Racing Team driver. And then it is Tom McMahon in P2, Zeb Toynison P3, Mlinek P4, Matteo Graziano, Neumann, Matteo Calistani, Daniel Bucher, Jakub Viderka, Carter Hutchinson, Mark Sweethoff, Maximilian Bailey, and Van der Berg, James Holm, Ivo Labsher, Alexander Gavil, who was, of course, fighting up at the top, but got that 1 minute stop and go. Then Luke Pennington and Krzysztof Skorupski in 18th, Bruno Aguirre, Cam Stark, and Ryan Littlemore, who, of course, was involved in a big smash in the early parts of the race. And finally, the P2 AM category results on screen for you right now, with Liam Rantz taking the win by 3.2 seconds over Brian Quevedo, Michael Seal and Tim Perry, then Kevin Kittle went in P5, Charles Collignon, then Moore, Julian Bell, Shane Dunn, Baumeister, Ryan Eppringham, Jackson Bell, David Nichols, Jason Marical, Lee Balmer, Lusher, Jonathan Keane, and Nathan Healy 18th, and then Jones, Jeremy Bonsallo, who was our pole sitter, but obviously had a big off, and then Marcel Leclerc, who did not finish either. We're going to have a quick word with some of the drivers who I think are joining us, or at least somebody is joining us, and Alex Salmon is actually going to join us, who is our overall winner in the LMP1 category, who joins us in the commentary box now. Alex, welcome to the commentary box, of course, in the first race of the ARL prototypes. You got given kind of pole position because of Rath's issues, but that didn't stop you anyway. It was a hard race with Yakubu, but overall, how was your first race from your perspective?
Obviously, it's a massive shame for Lennart. Like, I think he had the pace to win that one. The Porsche's working well this week, and yeah, he's a fantastic driver. So it's a shame for him, but yeah, there was another 3 RLR cars to battle in that, which was insane, but some really good racing. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, how scary was it trying to get through all those LMP2s? There's a lot of LMP2s on the field at the moment with the pros and the AMs, but it must be hairy trying to get through a field of that size when the LMP1s have such a pace advantage.
Yeah, I was actually just saying a second ago that I was expecting it to be a bit of a hot lap fest, kind of big gaps between the first batch of traffic and then when you come around again. But because there's so many P2s, it was just chaos. There was cars everywhere. It was really good fun just being able to pick my way through it, and yeah, come out the other side, which was a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's your thoughts going into the next round? Is it a track that you're liking the look of, or is it one that you'd rather not be racing on?
I don't know really. I think we'll see when I start turning my first laps there, because I haven't been there in a while, so it's going to be interesting. I think we're on a different downforce trim, of course. So it's going to be a very different driving car. So let's hope I can make something that works.
Absolutely. Well, Alex, thanks for joining us. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to say a quick thank you to on Apex Racing TV?
I'd like to thank the guys at OCM Racing for helping me out, and they kind of dragged me into to LMP1 competitively, and yeah, they've helped me out a lot going into this. And yeah, I'd like to thank my small little island of Jersey as well. For I've got a few guys watching the stream that I know, and yeah, there's not many of us, but I'm glad that some people are out watching, which is cool.
Representing them very, very well, Alex. Well, thanks for joining us, Alex. Hopefully we'll be talking to you again next week in similar circumstances.
Brilliant, thank you.
Yeah. We've got some other drivers standing by, actually quite a lot of them standing by. And Dane, you're going to take the next one, and it's up to you who you want to take.
Hey, yeah, guys. I think there's only there's one place to start. We've got all of the class winners in for an interview, so it's good to head off now from LMP1 Pro to LMP1 AM to Daniel Civisabo, number 116 machine, and taking the win in the opening round of the season. Must feel pretty good.
Yeah, it does. I'm so hyped now. Whew, it was a good one. It was a good one.
Yeah, and you had a good old battle with your teammate, Lockie Brown, of course, and unfortunately it ended the way it did with him getting the drive-through penalty, but you two were going at it for most of the race.
Yeah, we were. It was so close. Like, yeah, like we are doing this stuffs like into the P1 stuffs. And like, he's fast, but I just had so good pace here now, and it was absolutely great.
Absolutely, yeah. How did you find the LMP2 traffic? Because obviously, when you're racing LMP1s, you're often sharing the track with LMP2s, but you're not often sharing the track with just under 50 LMP2s on the same track.
Oh yeah, it was super close. Like in the first wave, it was super close, but like in the last about 15 laps or so, it was clean, because it was like chill and stuff. So yeah, after that it was okay.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, congratulations on the win. You must feel pretty good heading into the rest of the season. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
The team, the whole team.
Indy Autosport, then your team, then Daniel. Well, thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Yeah, same. See you guys.
Well, it was great to hear from the LMP1 AM winner there, and Jack, I think the next place to head off to, of course, would be LMP2 Pro winner.
Yeah, absolutely. We have Apex Racing Team's very own Michele Costantini in the box with us. Michele, it seemed like an easy race for you. I'm sure you're going to say it wasn't, but a great way to start the season off with a win, and nearly by 12 seconds.
A lot of fun. The sketchiest part was driving around the LMP1s and some lapped LMP2s, but everybody behaved properly. So yeah, it was a nice drive. Not really too happy with my qualifying pace, because managed to mess up all 4 of my laps, but that was still enough for pole, just about. So I need to fix that for the next round. But other than that, yeah, it was a pretty smooth sail, I would say.
Yeah, so how you've just because it's only the first round, it's going to probably might be a hard question to answer. But how do you how do you find the competitiveness of the LMP2 field? Because we nearly have 50 of them on the grid at the moment. So just how competitive is it out there in the pro category in the LMP2s?
Yeah, it's pretty competitive. Especially Alexandre, who was in second for most of the race before he. I don't know actually what happened to him, if he sped on pit entry or something like that, but I saw him drop after the pits. But yeah, he's fairly quick. We had a nice battle in IMSA last week at Suzuka as well, in the official series. But yeah, he's pretty quick, and then there's plenty of other fast guys as well. So it's quite a lot of fun to be here with them and race with them.
Some good momentum to carry forward into the rest of the season. Well, Michele, thank you for chatting with us. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick thank you to on Apex Racing TV?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys for the broadcast and Apex Racing team for the support and all of our sponsors. So yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you, Michele. Hopefully we'll be talking to you again next week. Congratulations on your victory.
Thank you very much.
So we have time for just one, and I think we have our last class leader standing by in this one. Liam Rance is looking for you.
Absolutely. Well, Liam, welcome to the commentary booth, and first race of the season down in the books, and it's a win for you in LMP2 AM, so that must feel pretty good. Liam, if you're speaking, I don't think we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. There we go. We have
Lovely.
Liam in the commentary booth.
But yeah, anyway, yeah, it's quite annoying in the race, just because you don't know who you're racing against. So I spent half the race battling with people that I don't think I should have been battling with, but you know, yeah, it's a good start to the season.
It's a very good start to the season, and with almost 50 LMP2s, we've harped on about this for a little bit now in the commentary booth, but almost 50 LMP2s, that's a really, really competitive field, and made slightly more exciting with the arrival of LMP1s every now and then. Must have been a pretty intense race out there.
Well, yeah, I qualified P26, so I knew it was going to be absolutely carnage heading into the first sector. And that it was. I think I was P19 by the end of lap 1, just by dodging people, spinning, and having incidents around me. And then after that, I was just keeping my nose clean throughout the race, and having to leave the door open for some P1s every now and then.
Absolutely. Well, heading into the rest of the season, the win at the start must leave you feeling pretty confident for the rest of it. Another 5 rounds before we eventually reach the finale, but win here at Silverstone must leave you feeling pretty good about the rest of the season coming up.
Well, I've heard from someone in the YouTube chat that I'm probably going to get promoted to pro, which is an issue. So yeah, and for this race I had one of Satellite Racing's hyperdocs, so from now on I don't think I'm going to be as fast as what I was today. It's all going to be made by me, which is a big issue. So yeah, we'll see how it turns out. I just hope I stay in AM and have a chance to race for something rather than try not to come last.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. You did a very good job out there on track today, Liam, and yeah, win in the first round. I don't think you'll be moved up into pro. It might be proven wrong, but I wouldn't say you'd be moved up into pro. You were pretty competitive in and amongst the AM class, so you'll have to wait and see on that front. But yeah, win in the first round, definitely feeling good heading into the rest of the season. Well, Liam, thank you so much for coming to have a chat with us, and before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Sai Andra from Satellite Racing, giving us his setups, and then also coming in to join us for the start of the race, as well as David Nichols as well, just for getting everything set up and everything, allowing me to race and come and have fun with you guys.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, and I guess we'll see you next week.
Yep, thanks guys.
Well, that was Liam Rance there. It was great to hear from each of the class winners, Jack, and well, what a race we've just witnessed.
Yeah, it was an hour of constant action, what we saw right there, and we hope that you will be joining us once again next week at the same time for the next round of the Apex Racing League Prototype Championship, and it'll be just good. Believe me, with the size of the field that we've got, that LMP2 battling and the LMP1s having side their way through so many of those cars, it is fantastic to watch. We'll hope that you'll join us at the same time next week for another round of the ARL Prototype Championships. My name has been Jack Canan. Dane has been alongside me. Marco has been giving you the great pictures of the racetrack tonight. And we hope that you'll join us next week for another round of the Prototype Championship. Thank you and good night.